smell started before anyone noticed the body. Neighbors thought it was rotten food, maybe a dead rat in the walls, but the smell kept coming back, every summer, stronger than before, and every single time someone asked the old man about it, he smiled and said the same thing.
My wife is sick. She doesn't like visitors. No one questioned him for 7 years, until the night the police finally entered the apartment, and what they found sitting at the dinner table wasn't alive anymore, but somehow it looked like it had been waiting for them. The apartment building stood in the middle of Chicago, old place. Thin walls, flickering hallway lights, the kind of building where everyone knew each other's business without trying. The old man's name was Walter Grayson. Quiet, polite, always wore the same gray coat no matter the weather. Every morning at exactly 7:15, he walked to the grocery store and bought the same things: bread, soup, tea bags, and fresh flowers. Always two. Or bouquets. People thought it was sweet. His wife, Eleanor, was never seen anymore, but Walter always talked about her like she was still around. She's resting. She's not feeling well today. She says thank you for the flowers. At first, nobody thought much about it. Old couples disappear from public life all the time, but something about Walter felt wrong, especially at night. A teenager named Caleb lived across the hall from him. He used to come home late after work and sometimes saw Walter standing perfectly still in the hallway at 2 or 3 in the morning, not moving, not blinking, just staring at his own apartment door. One night, Caleb finally asked him if he was okay. Walter slowly turned his head and whispered, "She keeps talking when I try to sleep." Then he walked back inside and locked the door. Caleb laughed about it the next day, but deep down, it bothered him. Because Walter's apartment had another strange detail. No one ever heard 2 voices. Not once in 7 years. No laughter. No arguments. No TV conversations. Nothing. Just Walter. And sometimes, a chair dragging across the floor late at night. The building manager eventually became suspicious. Eleanor Grayson hadn't paid taxes, renewed documents, or visited a doctor in years. Officially, she still existed, but there was no proof she was alive. The manager asked Walter directly one afternoon, "When was the last time your wife left the apartment? When was the last time your wife left the apartment?" Walter smiled. "She doesn't like sunlight anymore." That answer should have been enough to call the police immediately, but people ignored red flags when they came wrapped in old age and politeness. Months passed, then came the winter storm. The power in the building went out for nearly 2 days. Tenants gathered downstairs near heaters and candles. Everyone except Walter. He stayed inside his apartment the entire time. And that's when neighbors started hearing strange noises through the walls. Soft talk, whispering, then crying, then laughter. A woman's laughter. Weak, raspy, almost wet-sounding. One tenant swore she heard Walter arguing with someone around midnight. "You promised you wouldn't leave me again," he shouted, then silence. The next morning, Caleb noticed something terrifying. There were 2 sets of footprints in the snow, outside Walter's apartment window. One set belonged to Walter. The other looked bare, and the footprints stopped halfway across the courtyard, like whoever made them simply vanished. That's when rumors spread through the building. Some said Eleanor was bedridden. Others believed Walter was mentally ill. A few thought something much worse lived inside that apartment. But nobody wanted to know the truth, badly enough to knock on the door. Until the smell returned. This time it was unbearable. People gagged in the hallway. Flies appeared around Walter's door, even during winter. The building manager threatened to call the authority. Ties if Walter didn't let someone inside. Walter looked genuinely hurt. "She hates strangers," he whispered. Then he closed the door. That night, Caleb couldn't sleep. Around 3 a.m., he heard something from the hallway, a slow dragging sound, like furniture being pulled across the floor. He opened his door slightly and froze. Walter was dragging a dining chair down the hallway, but someone was sitting in it. At first, Caleb thought it was a living woman. Thin, gray hair, long dress, head tilted slightly. But then the chair passed under the flickering hallway light, and Caleb saw the skin, dark, pulled tight against bone,
The woman's mouth hung open unnaturally wide, and one eye was completely missing. Caleb stumbled backward in horror. Walter stopped moving, slowly turned his head toward him. Mine, then smiled. She wanted to see the hallway again. Caleb slammed the door and called 911 immediately. But when police arrived, there was no chair, no body, just Wal.
Todd, standing calmly in his apartment doorway. The officers searched the place briefly. Everything looked normal. Too normal. Clean dishes, fresh flowers, 2 cups of tea sitting on the table, and 1 locked bedroom door. Walter stood in front of it the entire time. My wife is sleeping, he said softly. The police didn't force it open. They left. That decision haunted them forever. After that night, Caleb became obsessed. He started recording sounds through the wall. Most nights were quiet, but sometimes he heard whispering. Not one voice. 2. One clearly belonged to Walter. The other sounded broken, wet, gurgling, like someone speaking underwater. One recording captured something truly disturbing. Walter's voice said, "You're starting to smell again." Then the other voice answered, "I know." Caleb played the recording over and over. It had to be fake. It had to be Walter doing another voice. But something about it sounded horribly real. A week later, Caleb noticed Walter buying unusual items at the grocery store. Bleach, needles, heavy perfume, and large bags of ice. That's when Caleb decided to break into the apartment. Worst decision of his life. He waited until Walter left for the store, then picked the lock and stepped inside. The apartment smelled sweet at first. Too sweet, like flowers covering something rotten underneath. Every wall was covered in photographs of Eleanor, hundreds of them. Young Eleanor, old Eleanor, Eleanor, sleeping, Eleanor, sitting at the table. But the newer photos felt wrong. In one picture, her skin looked gray. In another, sunglasses covered most of her face indoors. And in the latest photo, her mouth appeared stitched closed. Caleb's stomach turned. Then he heard something from the bedroom. A soft knocking sound. 3 taps. Pause. 3 more. Someone was inside. Alive. Caleb slowly approached the locked door. His hands shook. Another knock. Then a whisper. "Walter?" It was a woman's voice. Weak. Barely human. Caleb grabbed the handle. Unlocked. The door slowly creaked open. And the smell hit him first. Rot so powerful, it burned his eyes. Then he saw the bed. A body sat upright against the pillows. Dressed neatly. Hands folded in its lap. Skin blackened and peeling. Hair falling out in patches. But the eyes were open, cloudy, wet, and staring directly at him. Caleb screamed and stumbled backward. The corpse suddenly tilted its head. Its jaw cracked open slowly, and a sound escaped from inside its throat. Not a voice. Air, like something trapped deep in dead lungs. Then footsteps thundered behind him. Walter had returned. He dropped the groceries and charged at Caleb with terrifying speed. "You woke her up!" he screamed. Caleb ran for the front door, while Walter chased him through the apartment. But something stopped Caleb halfway. Another sound. From the bedroom. The dead woman was laughing. A horrible, choking laugh. Walter immediately froze. His expression changed from rage to fear. Real fear. He slowly turned toward the bedroom. "No," he whispered. The laughter got louder. Then came the sound of movement. Wet footsteps, dragging across the floor. Walter backed away trembling. "She's not supposed to walk anymore." Caleb ran out of the apartment and called police again. This time they forced entry immediately. But Walter was gone. And the bedroom was empty. The bed was still there. The smell was still there. But Eleanor's body had disappeared. Police searched the entire building. No sign of Walter. No sign of Eleanor. Only one thing remained. Fresh, wet footprints leading down the hallway. 2 sets. One belonged to Walter. The other looked bare. Investigators eventually uncovered the truth. Eleanor Grayson had officially died 7 years earlier from a stroke. Walter never reported it. Instead, he preserved her body himself, using chemicals, ice, sewing damaged skin together, talking to her every day as if she were alive, eating dinner with her, sleeping beside her corpse for nearly a decade.
The story exploded across the news. People called him insane, a monster. But the strangest part came later. 3 months after the investigation ended, another tenant moved into the empty apartment across the hall. A young woman named Lisa. She lived alone. One night, she reported hearing an old man whispering outside her door. She looked through the peephole. Nobody was there. But she did see something else. A dining chair sitting in the hallway, facing her apartment, and someone was sitting in it. A thin woman in an old dress, head tilted, mouth hanging open, waiting silently in the dark. When police checked security cameras later, the hallway was empty. No chair, no woman, nothing. But the audio from the camera captured one final sound. A weak female voice whispering directly into the microphone. "He still be. Brings me flowers.